Afghanistan, the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, is strengthening collaboration with key institutions and agencies on the eve of the commemoration of the bravery and resilience of those who have been compelled to depart their native country because of war or persecution. Ahead of the World Refugee Day, the country representative for the UNHCR, Ms. Esther Kiragu, and the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Refugee Board, Mr. Tete Paddy, visits us in the studio to talk about trends affecting refugees throughout the world. Good afternoon, lady and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
And thank you so much for joining us. I always say I cannot imagine how it would be like for me to be a refugee in another country, considering the fact that in Ghana, our neighbors are French-speaking countries and I do not speak French. And so people are really doing well, you know, adapting to changes that their circumstances have forced them into. But I want to know, what are the current worldwide refugee trends?
Unfortunately, things are going from bad to worse,
Is
I
it?
would say, because last year when we spoke, we were talking about having passed the 100 million. Now we're talking about 110 million. And that is up to and including the end of May this year. But the numbers have shot up because of the Ukraine situation, mainly, but also because of the lack of solutions. The solutions are few and far between. So situations of displacement continue to fester for very long.
But what has been the issue with the lack of solutions, you said? Why are we not able to find solutions to this? What has been the gap?
The gap is peace, really. That wars may cease, that people may live harmoniously together. And to come closer home to our continent, the situation in Sudan is not even captured in these trends because it started just this month on the 12th. And we have now over 500,000 people who have sought refuge in neighboring countries, in Egypt, in Chad, even closer to us, and those countries around it. But also a lot of people internally displaced. So from the 110 million, 35.8 million are refugees. The others are internally displaced within their own countries. Yeah.
Mr. Paddy, allow me to bring you in here because when we speak of the vulnerable, we mostly speak of women and children. And children make up more than half of the world's 2 to 2.5 million refugees. Is the effort to save them yielding any results?
Absolutely. And we have done our bit here in Ghana. We have ensured that refugee children have access to education. As far as I know, it's only refugees who have access to the free compulsory universal basic education, as well as the free SHS, which is a more recent program. And again, we have made access to healthcare available to all refugees, and that includes mothers and the children as well. So we've mainstreamed assistance to refugees into the national programs, and that ensures that they have access.
Most developing countries have, you know, an open door policy to the refugees. How are they dealing with the influx of the refugee situation?
It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult because that's true. You take countries like Ethiopia, Sudan, with over 1 million refugees. It's very, very difficult. But I would say the same also for Ghana because as Mr. Paddy has said, they don't live in an island. They live amongst the host population. And so what this means is that there is a lot of pressure on existing services like schools, hospitals, health services. And they need support to be able to cope.
But how has partnerships been over the years with the host country, with the UNHCRs, even with the governments where the people are coming from? How has the partnership been?
Very good, very good. But it's a situation where you need international solidarity around a cause to support the hosting country to be able to host. And that's what we keep calling out for to support the hosting population to host better.
Right.
And that costs.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Paddy, the people have entered the country. We have no other business than to accept them. How are we able to encourage them, to help them to get, you know, a life where they have found themselves?
Yes, we've done a lot to help refugees settle in. I mentioned the integration of services into the national systems. That is one key policy that has really helped refugees to be assisted and to have access to all the services that they require. The other thing is that our host communities have been excellent in receiving refugees. In all the areas where we've set up refugee camps, the coexistence between the host community and the refugee communities have been perfect. And and again, the fact that we integrate the systems into national systems have gone a long way to help. So we have refugee children attending school in the host community, but we also have host community children attending, say, basic schools in the refugee camps that we set up. So there's this togetherness.
So if they joined the host country, children from the host countries to attend the same school, how are you able to deal with the language barrier? Do you get them people who also understand the language for them to get on with their life?
Yes, so you mentioned language at the very beginning.
Yeah.
It goes to show you the resilience of refugees. When we merge the two, the performance of the children is as good as
tried and tested.
Tried and tested.
Okay.
And they have an advantage because then they have a second language.
Okay.
And you know how children's minds are; they absorb quickly. And so the language has not been too much of a problem. Initially, sometimes you need interpreters here and there, but eventually they end up sometimes being better than the host community children.
Right. Quite recently, we had the same situation up north. We had the Burkinabés entering our local communities. How has that panned out if you reflect it to other issues that we have had ongoing?
That situation is still unfolding. Actually, in Ghana, we thought we were at the stage last year where we need to close shop, which is always something we aspire to.
So when you say close shop, mean close the borders?
No, close our offices. Because we are here to deal with refugees. And we found solutions for the Ivorian refugees who were the majority then. Unfortunately, the Burkina Faso situation happened and it's still bubbling. Much faster than the Ivorian one, as a matter of fact. And so far we have close to
about close to 8,000, but we've registered 3,200.
Okay. Yes, and like you said, they are living along with the host population, especially at the border areas. But we are trying to sort that out because they need help. In fact, the host has spoken out and said, you know, there was a period of drought for some time that their granaries are running out of food. I mean, for how long can you host a family just because you happen to know someone who knows them in your house without support? So I'm sure Mr. Paddy will talk about the arrangements that are already in place because that's what's happening now.
All right, Mr. Paddy, you can take along. What has been the arrangements?
So first of all, with the assistance of UNHCR, we've set up a reception center. And we're also putting together a settlement where they will be more permanently, not permanent, but they'll be over a longer period. They'll be
comfortable.
Stationed. Yes.
Okay.
Apart from that, we're working with all the various agencies and making sure that we are incorporating them into education, into health, and all other services. We're also making sure that we're working with the host community. The host community have they've given up a lot of their resources hosting these people, and so in addressing the needs of the refugees, we ensure, working with UNHCR, to we make sure that they have they're also benefiting from the interventions. And so if you're providing a borehole for the refugees, the host community also benefits. And then also, it has clearly the absorption capacity of the host community is stretched. Given the influx of the refugees. And so assistance will also go to the host communities. If it's building classrooms, we'll build classrooms for both the host communities and the refugees to benefit from. And all other facilities will be made available as well.
Right. And so 20th June annually is World Refugee Day. And I believe you have some activities you have lined up to celebrate it this year. Yes. Can you tell us about it? What are we to expect?
We have the commemoration event tomorrow at the Blue Oasis Refugee Community Center, which is here in Accra. And we'll have all the different nationalities represented of refugees in Ghana because there are over 7 now. to come and present what they brought in. But I would just like to say something, if I may.
Please go ahead.
That the theme for this year is hope away from home. And, you know, we all need hope to survive. Everybody needs hope. And for refugees, when you've been forcibly uprooted from where you live, hope tends to diminish. And, you know, a human being without hope in life is as good as gone.
Of course.
So while I have this platform, and thank you for giving it to me, is to urge people, because it starts with, we can talk about governments, but it's you and me and our neighbors, you know, that can make them feel welcome where they are. And the empathy that goes with that to give them a sense of belonging, to say that they're not here to just take. They want to be able to contribute. Like they told us, they don't want to be given food. They want the fishing rod, not the fish.
Okay, we should teach them how to fish. Is that it?
Yes.
We shouldn't give them the food, but we should teach them how to fend for themselves.
Precisely, because they are aware they'll be here for some time, and they don't want to make it a burden on the host. They want to support the host so that they can all live properly together. So it's to make that pitch that refugees are you and me. Nobody chooses to be one, and as we try to give them hope and amplify this message of hope, is to make sure that we all have empathy towards them.
Mr. Pada, I'll give you the final word. Speak to us. We are in Ghana. We are, you know, enjoying relative peace. Our compatriots watching us. The importance of having the peace that we enjoy, the need to sustain and guard it.
I think we all appreciate the fact that we need to guard the peace that we have. I'll urge everybody to visit some of the refugee hosting areas, so they see how they live, and perhaps that will also help us to appreciate what we have better. But again, visiting these areas will be good if you can also offer some assistance to some of these refugees. As Esther said, our doors are open, and we're happy to receive any help that we can. But refugees are like you and me.
Yeah.
You find people walking around who are refugees that you probably don't imagine that they are, and so it's we should treat them the same way that we treat ourselves. There are several examples of refugees who have come here with their skills, with their professions, who have contributed.
And they've made a life for themselves
here. Absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping for the day that you definitely close shop. And that will be the day that relative peace has been achieved across our sub-region. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Ms. Esther Kirago is the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Refugee Board, and Mr. Tete Paddy is, have I missed it? Ms. Esther Kirago is a country representative for the UNHCR, I beg your pardon, and Mr. Tete Paddy is Executive Secretary of the Ghana Refugee Board. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in the studio today to